Hello everybody. I used to post more frequently, live videos and otherwise, in LinkedIn until LinkedIn decided that I'm garnering too much attention and decided to take my profile and not give it back to me, questioning that I am who I am. So it's a very philosophical question, goes beyond words. I think all of life is trying to prove to others that we are who we are. I've been in digital security, another kind of security most of my life. I've been in communications and education most of my life, in fact, a vast majority of my life. And I've been dealing with the concept of protecting identities and identity theft also most of my life. So to be a chronic victim, quote unquote, of identity theft, I've decided to turn being a victim into being an asset. And I allow people to steal my identity. I give away ideas for free, realizing that way people will manifest them and make them happen. And I have a good idea, I can make people money, I open source and let it happen, because all I really want is for it to happen. I don't know how much Elon Musk is enjoying owning all those companies. He doesn't have time to drive his Teslas into space, to fly to Mars and all those other things. He's too busy building it that he can't enjoy it. And so are many of the great leaders of the world, and I don't blame them, and I understand. And I've been there too. I've been there too when I had to set up and design and start hotels or restaurants or other infrastructure into war-torn countries. Why? Because I believed everyone deserved it and everyone needed it, because that's what I wanted when I was there, and I figured it can't be just exclusive to me. But then once you build it, they will come, and once they come, you have to manage it, otherwise it goes away. And then you end up having no time to enjoy it. So I'm again freely open sourcing everything we're talking about. I'm again freely sharing openly everything that we're doing. And I'm using the cats as an example, for a real live example, a non-political example. Because if it weren't cats, someone would say, why them and not us? So cats are a chronic problem everywhere. It used to be rats, and then it became cats. Moving up in the pecking order, moving up in the alphabetic sorting and sequencing of things. Because C is higher than R in the alphabetic listing. You just have to get to A. You have to get to alphas. So what we are sharing here is that this is the result of what we call the abundance mentality. This space here that is a wasteland, a no man's land, it was a junkyard. It was literally a place that people were afraid to go and afraid to come to the point where parents, mothers, and other community members, people live around this tiny space. When I say tiny space, I'm showing that there is a tiny hunk of astroturf here, of fake grass, with a few little broken down playthings. Today they're in better condition than usual because nobody's playing on them, but every other day things are broken here. Around this little astroturf is a footpath, at least 3 sides. This side is not. And everything else is basically kitty litter. But it's not just kitty litter, it's also where humans dump their garbage. There have been toxic waste, medical waste, dangerous things here, broken glass, besides other sharp objects which I don't want to mention. Chemical and otherwise things that have been here, and really horrible garbage. Over the last 6 months or so that we've been coming here trying to make a difference, picking up a little bit of garbage, just showing people that we care. This particular dump zone has become a Royal Oasis. And a Royal Oasis is one of our brands that we started when we were going to third world countries and other type of desolate places to literally bring oases to the desert, whether it was in the northern Dead Sea area, whether it was in the Ukraine in the past, in northern Canada, or all sorts of other places where we teach what we're showing here, but every time we did it for humans, it became political. It's not a joke that when we did it near the Dead Sea, that the second Intifada started, and our location became militarily significant. It's not a joke, and by mistake, that when we did this in the Ukraine, Russia invaded. We did this in Canada, governments fell apart, only because it's disruptive, but it's not meant to be. It's disruptive because the people in power who are doing things to maintain their power lose sight of why they got into power in the first place, or how they got into power in the first place, whether it's politically, through business, or otherwise. Because I believe most people start off relatively righteous. Very few people can get past first base. They don't have a good enough pitch to sell that sounds good enough for enough people to buy. We've heard about the pitches. We've heard about pitches. I've been involved in pitches, made pitches, given pitches, all the different pitches, literally from being a pitcher on a mound to being in financial planning, fundraising, both charitable and non-charitable, NGOs, all levels of fundraising, to the point where we created the dot-com bubble, and then all the different startup nation concepts. So this isn't a bluff and this isn't a joke. We're trying to explain here that today we are in the worst level, the chronic stages of the disease of affluence. We're in the chronic stages, the terminal stages of disease of affluence. If we continue to fight within the disease of affluence, so that we're talking about the clinical term that is explained in the course in the Center for Nutrition Studies by T. Colin Campbell, Dr. T. Colin Campbell, one of my professors at eCornell, whether it's what the Bible in Deuteronomy talks about, which led to the worst possible curses in the end of Deuteronomy in the weekly portion of Ki Tavo, lest you come, where it ends a certain chapter of the curses saying, why did all this come to you? The worst possible things that we're matching and surpassing now in humanity. The worst possible things. Why? Because you didn't serve God with kindness of heart and joy. Why? Because you had too much. Basically, you forgot where it all came from, or why you were quote unquote blessed with whatever you had. So here we are again, facing the redemption and facing destruction at the same time. For those part of the solution is facing redemption. For those who are part of the problem, it's facing destruction. And the world will decide. When I say the world, it's not a threat anymore. It's not a political threat. We've seen Corona is a good filter. Pandemics, disease, economy, war. So many different elements help decide for us. Besides, of course, the impending threat of AI and robots. Self-driving cars. I mean, it doesn't take much more than a self-driving car deciding that it is worth taking you, not you, but one particular person out rather than no collateral damage. So we're at that point now where people have to decide. We have a solution that's really simple. Boils down to less than $1 a day. Less than, it's roughly 60 US cents, 50 cents to a euro. And 2 shekels according to the new Israeli shekel economy based on our calculations. That's a nominal amount, a fictitious amount. I mean, it's real. It's what we use here to make a difference. It's the lowest common denominator. That 2 shekels a day, 50 cents to a euro, 60 cents to a US dollar is enough to save a life. Now it's meant to put things into perspective, because obviously if we find 60 cents on its own, or even a whole freaking dollar, on its own, it will not do much, but it's the collective of putting those together. Having 50 of those in a month, 50 of those in a day creates this. There are more or less 50, plus minus 50 cats that come on a daily basis to this spot that we're able to provide for, including a shelter that we're able to give for nasty weather, for the cost of 3,000 shekels a month. Now, how did I get from 2 a day to 3,000 shekels a month? Well, that's why I said 50. If you take 2 shekels a day, times 50 cats, that's 100. Times 30 days in the month on average, that's 3,000. 3,000 is what it takes to support 50 cats, which also ends up supporting one human being who has to to do the work for the 50 cats that are being sponsored. And that in itself creates the abundance of that one person who's there living off the service of the cats for the people who can't do it on their own, gets to live in whatever surplus that person has through their living, they're able to share further to other humans and otherwise, whether it's their knowledge, whether it's the effect. It's just the benefit of them coming off of the system as far as a beneficiary and being, if not even a provider, at least being a non-beneficiary, non-taxing the system. It's really as simple as that. We have models for all over the world, starting with where you are. If you know anybody who needs a job, if you know anybody who's has a problem, reach out to us, we'll show you. Our systems are scalable. Our models are scalable. For humans, it starts with the miracle bars for the same price. roughly 2 shekels a day